My last story of 2024, the last few weeks of my posts have been going really well, so something's changed there, but I'm going to end it on a little bit of an Ibiza story time, my very first time there and what it taught me about myself. It was the 90s, it's always the 90s. And if you know, you know, after clubbing, we'd always congregate outside Bar Italia and have loads of like, I don't know, post-party drinks and food. I was quite newly single, I think 8 months, and I'd been in quite an abusive relationship, so I was in no place to be meeting anybody. Anyway, long and short is there was this really, really insanely handsome guy there who was Italian. And until that point, I'd never had a good-looking boyfriend. To be fair, a lot of my partners haven't been that good-looking. Eyes locked, got chatting, ended up in a relationship. There you go, nutshell. I'd never had a relationship like that before. He was carefree, wild. He just got to the country and he was over here for 2 years, and this was literally 1 month into his arrival. We ended up in this passionate and wild relationship, but he taught me everything there was to know about clubbing, house music, and lots of other fun things. I really fell in love with him, to be honest. He was hard work because, you know, he was young and very, very handsome. Example, we'd go to a restaurant and the waitress would be asking him what my order was and what would she like. Never quite experienced anybody that good looking before, and women's reactions to it. Anyway, we fell in love. At the end of his 2 years over here, he wanted to go and do a season in Ibiza and then go back to Italy. And so the plan was he would go and do the season in Ibiza. We would continue our relationship, you know, and then I would join him at the end of the season in September. And then, you know, we'd maybe part ways, say our goodbyes or plan a future together, depending on whatever. And before anybody says, show us a picture of him then, oh my God, I haven't got a picture of somebody from, I don't know, 30 odd years ago. So no, think Jude Law, but tall, and think dark hair. That's the best I got. I don't know, he was better than that. But Jude Law when he was young, do you know what I mean? Anyway, needless to say, hot Italian guy doing the Ibiza season, that didn't go very well, and he ended up crashing and burning out, and by which time I had booked and planned my trip to Ibiza. So where he'd crashed and burned out, he had needed his mum to come and get him, and I think she ended up taking him back to Italy. And he wanted me to divert and not go to Ibiza and go and join him and sit at his bedside mopping his brow while he was burnt out from partying in Ibiza for a whole season. It was the 90s. I was hot, I was young, and I was wild. As if I was going to do that. Absolutely no way, Jose. I had already booked my flight. I booked accommodation separately. It was in the days of the dial-up internet, so it was like waiting for it to load up. I found somewhere called Hostel Talamanca. If you know, you know. On Talamanca Beach back in the 90s. That place was insane. It was so cute and really undiscovered. So off I went. I went to Ibiza by myself for the first time ever, not knowing anybody over there, and I was here for it, so excited. I arrive in Ibiza at night time, I think it was 9-10 o'clock, go to the hostel with a beach view. Oh my gosh, this has to be a whole other story about Hostel Talamanca. It wasn't a hostel, by the way. First things first, find the central point. Didn't know where I was going, what I was doing, but I knew which clubs I wanted to go to because, you know, what's going on here? I'd done all my research and I'd been looking forward to seeing him and having this wild time. So here I was on my own, got into the centre of town, thought, right, got to feed myself, let's have some food. Sitting in the centre in the port, just looking around and thinking this looks exciting and wild. So I decided to call him in Italy. And I did. I called him and I said, listen, it's your fault I'm over here. He tried to do the whole you've abandoned me, and I won't let that happen. And I said, look, I'm here. I need connections. Help me because I want to go to A, B or C club and I don't want a queue. Really precious. Anyway, it turns out obviously one of his friends who's Italian, who I knew from London as well, had gone there to do the season, and he was still there, and he had a girlfriend that was running the club. He hooked me up. So this girl and I met much later. I went to Privilege, if you know, you know, as my first ever club in Ibiza. Oh my good God, it was manumission. I can't even describe what that means. Those words, privilege, manumission at Privilege, have a look. So we went, this girl was so beautiful. I always used to get to Ibiza then in the 90s and think, where do all these beautiful people live? where do they exist? Because I have never seen such beauty. I mean, I'm not just talking like catwalk beauty. I'm just talking that effortless kind of boho chic kind of, haven't bothered trying. What I mean, where do they live? What's their normal day-to-day jobs? Anyway, she was stunning. She grabbed my hand really tightly and bypassed the entire queue, walked past the security. It was always tight security on the door, and off we went straight in, and we had a little chit chat, and then we parted ways, and I was there till 8 a.m. in the morning. Oh my God, it was such a good night. I had such a wonderful time, and I came out and it was broad daylight, and I hate that. But anyway, I ended up trying to get a taxi, which I did, got back to my hotel, and I think I showered and went to bed for an hour or two and got up, and I decided, why did I decide this? To go to the beach. That's not the weird part, because I wanted to go to Salinas, the jockey club. These are all Ibiza heavy, the places to be. And why did I want to take a bus from Talamanca? I think it was 2 buses. What was I thinking? I was literally on the bus. How I managed this, I don't know, with people going to work and stuff. But anyway, I ended up doing it, and here I was on Salinas, and I secured myself a sun lounger, and it was lovely. And if you know Ibiza in September, you know the weather can be hit and miss. So there were a few clouds, big deal, so what? Used a few clouds, and the clouds started getting heavier. And as that was happening, Salinas is like a restaurant, beachside cafe restaurant kind of place, and it's all open, and then there's sort of those lovely big banana leaves kind of on the top. So it's not a secure proper building, but it's a shelter, if you like, and people are eating and whatever. And me being the sun queen, because I love the sun, I was laying there and I felt a few specks of rain on my tummy and I thought, oh, this is weird, but I can power through this. Hungover, and you know, it's cloudy and it looks like it's raining, and by the time the lounges around me got really empty and the club was really busy, and I looked around and not a single seat left in the house, by which time it was torrential thunder and lightning. But I wasn't having that. I got up, I think I took a towel or maybe my bag, I don't know what I took, and I got to the jockey club, up these little steps, and here I am, you know, watching the rain come in, and every single table was taken and people were sitting on the floor. I thought, I'm not sitting on the floor, I'm just not doing it. So I honed in on a table of 8 men, youngish men, sitting there having lunch, and I make a beeline for them, and I say, without skipping a beat, excuse me, can I sit here please? And they turn around and are really surprised, and they say, I'm sorry, because they're not English. And I said, irritated, excuse me, can I sit here please? The absolute cheek of me. And they were, oh yes, of course, come and join us. So they all scooched up and created space for me and invited me to lunch with champagne. And guess what? It turned out to be on the island. They were the, I think, Global DJ Awards, some kind of DJ Awards ceremony happening, and they were all DJs flown in from around the world. And they were there for the awards. Somebody from New York, somebody from Portugal, Belgium, Germany, Sweden, all over. Well, we had lunch, and it was very extravagant and expensive. And then we took that, when it stopped raining, down to the beach and champagne. And my solo trip to Ibiza all of a sudden didn't become so solo. I was invited to absolutely everything with this crowd of guys, and I was taken into every single club with no worrying about how I was going to get in, because that was an issue, and VIP all the way. That was my first ever experience of Ibiza. I had such a blast. It was so much fun, and gosh, not to mention the amount of money I saved, because I didn't have to pay for a thing. Listen, you gotta hustle. All I can say is none of that was planned. It was just off the cuff, and it was instinctive, and it just taught me a bit about my character and how bold I was. And that is one of my many stories. My first ever trip to Ibiza, and the Italian ex-boyfriend. Yeah, we're still in touch, you know, we kind of say hi. He's now sort of happily married, and yeah, nothing there at all. We just, you know, every now and again send the odd message. He's still a very important part of my life, and I care for him very, very deeply. But yes, it was a wild time. Happy New Year, everyone.